Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest goofballer in town here at Charleston. There's the build Einstein. That's a high level AP build. That's not something you normally see at level 2, but that's what we're going to war with. Here's the ship. Note the steering gears. Now we're going to be comparing this to the St. Louis, which this is basically rich man's version, or the premium version of it, I guess. But it's oddly enough, like, the St. Louis doesn't have the steering gears. This one does, but the St. Louis still has the better rudder shift. So that's kind of interesting. But we'll compare the stats of that one in a little bit here. First, we're going to check out this game. This is the most damage I've squeezed out of this puppy so far. And then at the end, we actually got something special. We're going to answer the age-old question, who's the true king of the goofballers? Oleg, which my money's always kind of been in that camp, just because we've always had that ship, or we've had it for a long time. And that's usually the tier 2 we're going to play when we're playing the low tiers. But the Charleston is definitely a new contender. So we actually got a showdown between the two at the end. So stay tuned for that. We'll settle the age-old question once and for all. Who is the true king? But getting back into the Charleston here, basically the St. Louis. But on paper, the St. Louis either has equal stats or is better. But I want you to... We'll go over the stats, but check out this AP action here. We'll go over the stats in a moment. This is something that I rarely would ever see on the Oleg. You very rarely can get these wicked Citadel shots here. I just recently figured out that you can get them, but you got to be like really point blank range, and be really landing the shots here. This thing, the Charleston, is just pumping out the damage, and we go ahead and shred the Doogie to pieces. So it doesn't take long there. If you're going to be broadside of this thing, you're in trouble. And I've realized playing against this thing, okay, in the Oleg primarily, but we've run into the Charleston on occasion, and I think the first time it was available a while ago. So if you see them, or historically if you'd seen them lately at least, up until now, then it was usually a player that was around for a while. They probably knew what they were doing. So I can testify that I've seen some good Charleston action out there prior to getting into the ship here. But I was always curious about it. Now that we're playing it, we're actually finding out firsthand why this ship's so dangerous. We're under torpedo attack with the Carl here. Of course, he's flopping around like a fish. That means he's going for the second torpedo launch. I'm trying to, take him out here, maintain the angle. But once we determine he's likely launched, and there we see him, we're just going to do a hard turn. And this turn will work on occasion. Depends on the geometry of the torpedo attack. The headings of the ships, the headings of the torp, stuff like that. But if you turn hard, occasionally you can just out-turn those torps. So that's a thing of beauty whenever you can do it. And then we go ahead and whittle him down. We give the teammate a wood up for chiming in there, helping us out. And we're up to 46k, that's a pretty decent damage output for an Oleg game, I always thought, the first 20 times we play that, I thought just getting the ship's HP and damage, which I think is like in the 20s, was a pretty good game. But recently we've been squeezing a little bit more out here. But this ship squeezes out the damage with ease. So played this one, went back. We got the St. Louis for a statistical comparison. Might as well check out the St. Louis tonight. So we played a couple games in that. That ship's dangerous too. I guess just unbeknownst to me. You can always kind of tell that those ships might be pretty good, but granted, it's almost always new players down there. So they might not be reckoning you like they could be capable of, but I don't really see the advantage this has over the St. Louis. The only thing on paper it has better is the detection, 8.7 compared to 9.1, and that's probably due to a camo. We got the camo built in on this thing, and presumably it's no camo when we just unlock the tier 2. So on paper, that's probably not even, that's probably correctable if you really want to soup up your St. Louis. Rudder shift 5.8 on the St. Louis, 7.7 here. Turn radius, speed the same. Traverse of the guns the same. Reload 0.9 better on the St. Louis. 1 kilometer better on the range. Same guns, same HP. So edge goes to St. Louis. Performance-wise, the very small sample size I played of both of them tonight, I'd say they basically perform the same. So why would you want this? Well, you get access to your tier 2 weekly premium supplies missions. If you don't have a tier 2 ship, then you can get this one, and you get 1 promotion order per week if you do the mission, which over the course of a year is like, 50 plus, 52, whatever it is, which is basically a full week's worth. When you have all tiers of premium and all the legendaries, you can get 50 promotion orders per week currently. So basically adding an extra week to your year-long progression of commander is not huge, but it's worth doing. That's worth sticking with it. And, this is as good of... Let me just put it this way. Usually I only play the Oleg because that's the only tier 2 that I really don't despise. Until now, this is a new one that will probably potentially even switch over full time. We'll probably take the Oleg out once in a while, but both of these ships strong. We'll see who wins the head-to-head fight in a moment here, but in my experience, I'd say this is probably better than the Oleg. So now check this out here. We're checking out the AP on the nose, and look at these values that we're going to be seeing here. Nice clean shot, and we got about, I don't know, about 6k damage there. That's not bad for a tier 2 cruiser, man. Hitting that nose. Ishizuki, he felt it, he's angling away, so we aim up with the superstructure, see if we can get there, and most of them bounce, but we get a 1,000, so we'll go ahead and switch over to HE. Anytime they're angling, we'll go ahead and switch over that. It's a fine shell, producing plenty of damage. Now it looks like he's turning back. We'll go ahead and test the AP again. This is, whenever you get a new ship, you want to test out the AP. You want to figure out, is the AP good? Because if the AP is good, you want to use it as often as you can. Okay, if it's not good, then you want to use it when it's, you know, guaranteed to be good, like point blank range against broadside cruisers or something like that. You got to figure out what situations the AP is good in, and you got to test it. So, you know, don't just load in HE or don't just load in AP and say you're good to go. Unless you're in a battleship and you want to just load in AP, or destroyers, you can get away with just loading HE if you want. You're still going to be better changing the shells in certain instances, and depending on the ship, some destroyers run the AP quite a bit better than others. But for cruisers, that's the class of ship you want to be actively switching back and forth. And since we actually have good AP here at tier 2, unlike what you'd see on the Oleg, which is the one we're familiar with, here we want to be using it as often as possible. So if you're trying to come up with a god tier build, you're trying to set it up like a heavy cruiser or a light cruiser, I would spec for the AP shells on the set it up like your heavy cruisers. I'd recommend Kincaid if you don't have Einstein. Einstein, of course, if you got him. He's an outstanding commander. A little bit pay to win, but it's neither here nor there. And, you know, just spec it for, you know, put Yamamoto on there if you got him. Put Dimitri Du on there if you got him, and just let it rip. Here, what are we doing? We're just shooting, just a little trick here. We're expanding that blue circle on the map. That's your detection ring. Whenever you shoot, it expands to your max firing range. Helps you learn, okay, is there just a destroyer in the area or not? Because you can see if you shoot and then all of a sudden you're spotted, then he's in between the blue and the white ring in the map. That's a little tip if you're trying to determine where people are. So that's the score there. I mean, it was a barn burner, but it's 60k or whatever we got for, you know, tier 2. Not bad. Now here, this game, we loaded in 3v3, and it was a 2 cruisers and destroyer game. It was actually kind of a fun game. But we're squaring off against the Charleston. Then someone chimes in over here, and we're challenged by the king himself, Oleg. There he is. Okay, so we're down a little bit on health. I'm like, all right, well, let's try and finish this Charleston. No. He wants to fight. He demands our attention. Okay, well, let the teammate, you know, the Charleston's pretty low. Hopefully these guys can sink him. Now we're going to go test our luck with the Oleg. Okay, now I don't know when the Oleg was last available. I'm assuming you got to be somewhat of a veteran to be in the Oleg. So we're squaring off with him. We're getting him a little bit of respect, but I'm still primarily just testing the AP. That's what I usually like to do with these ships when we're first getting them. And even, you know, he's fairly angled on that last shot. We still got a nice rip around him. He's getting some decent damage on us. Okay, the Oleg, I think, has way more guns. I don't know off the top of my head, but it can pump out some HE damage, especially against more lightly armored targets. It does okay against the St. Louis and, by extension, the Charleston. These ships do, I was looking at the armor view, they got these, like a super armor right in the middle. Like if you go, it's kind of a raised section, but basically the middle of that ship, right under the kind of the mid couple of smokestacks, there's a really thick piece of armor there. So that's kind of informing my shot selection in the future as the Oleg. Maybe we would try and target more of the front and back of the ship. I never really took the time to look at the armor scheme on this thing until tonight. But here we're trying to catch this Oleg broadside. He's got us low. Now this is the fight to determine supremacy. Unfortunately for the Oleg, he's got a destroyer and another cruiser against him. It's a 3v1, so it's not a fair fight to determine supremacy, but it is a fight to determine supremacy nonetheless. You're dealt the cards, you're dealt the hand you get. You know, you got to play it. So I'm trying to cut him off here, and now he's backing up. What's he doing? I don't know if I don't think he's trying to avoid me. Maybe he's trying to catch me for a surprise, because as soon as we drop spot, we, of course, change directions, trying to head him off, trying to catch him unawares. But he notices the destroyer over there starts shooting at him. We'll give him, you know, get back I'm not worried about losing this game at this point in time, but we want to let the Dursky know, of course, that maybe trying to rush a cruiser in open water isn't going to work for him. But he learns the lesson there, hopefully. And now I'm assuming, all right, we'll keep an eye on this guy. If he keeps backing up there, we can break right, or I'm going to correctly deduce that he's going to go the other way. Once he sees these torps coming, he's going to gun the engine. I think he actually gets clipped with one of the torps, which is a little unfortunate. He has more, he's got just a smidge more health than us currently. And then, yeah, looks like he got one there. So we got just a little bit more health than him going in this final showdown here. But we got the AP loaded once again. And we're not really going to get any Citadel action on this Oleg until the last shot, curiously enough, when we aim up. Because I'm like, okay, let's just go for the juicy guaranteed shots. We aim mid-ship on this last hit. And then we actually land a Citadel there. So where's the Citadel? I don't know. Halfway up the ship, I guess. Anyway, there's the look at it. Apparently, the Charleston's the new king of the Tier 2 Goofballers. That's a look at the Charleston for you. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of questions for you guys. Leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you later. Peace.